Hello and welcome back to Education on Fire. Hope you're well since we last spoke last week. This has turned into a very busy show very, very quickly, which is absolutely amazing. And thank you to everyone who's got in touch and shared what they've been up to. I'm going to just take you through, just to begin with, exactly what it is that we're going to be covering, and then you can sort of make sure that you catch all those things which are going to be of interest. So, of course, the first thing I want to do is, if you have anything you'd like to say, feel free to put it in the comments, put it in the chat. We can go backwards and forth. I can show some of those things as well. So make sure you do that if you want to have this sort of real-time interaction. If you're watching on the replay, feel free just to put it in the comments of the video. We're live here on YouTube, also live on LinkedIn as well. So leave a message there. All of those things will come through, which is going to be fantastic. I'm going to be chatting to Dorothy from Punch Drunk Enrichment. We're going to be talking about an early years related project that's coming up. So I'm looking forward to being able to share that. She's going to come on and actually be a guest here live on the show, which is a very exciting thing to be able to do. And I've been aware of Punch Drunk for a little while. I had Pete, who was previously involved with the company, I think it was 3 years ago, we were just saying before. So it's going to be great to have a little catch up and find out exactly how that sort of journey's happened in those last little while. We're going to be talking about Ger Graus Gets Gritty season. Obviously, episode 2 dropped on Monday. I'm going to talk a little bit about the takeaways and talk a little bit around where we are with that. So do make sure, if you've got any comments about that, if you've listened to the podcast already, that let us know what you think. Let us know if some of those key takeaways have struck a chord with you. Last week, I was at the Bett show in London, caught up with lots of people there. So I've got a few pictures there of some of the people I had a chat with, some of the people that it was really nice to catch up with in real time. I speak to a lot of people virtually, but to be in the same place is always fantastic. So I'm going to show you some of those pictures. And also, I've got some conversations with Jamf. They were there exhibiting even, and also was there talking with Dell Technologies as well. So I've got some of their conversations and some details to share with those. They very kindly asked me to go and have a chat with them, so delighted to be able to share what they're up to and how all that's working. And then finally, also managed to catch up with Ed Cohen, and he's obviously involved in Empathy Week, and they've got some great plans. They've got great things going on. So I've got a couple of flyers to share with you, so you can find out more about that, and which is coming up in March. So all those things are happening over the next few minutes. So we're excited to be able to bring you all that in a super packed show. But I'm going to bring Dorothy on now, and she can tell us the latest things that are going on with Punch Drunk and everything that's happening in this coming spring. So Dorothy, thank you so much indeed for joining us here today.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
Brilliant stuff. So for those people who hadn't listened to my interview with Pete, like I said, way back when, or haven't come across what it is that you do, give us a little kind of behind the scenes of what Punch Drunk Enrichment does, and your sort of role within that.
Absolutely. So Punch Drunk Enrichment is an immersive theatre company, and we make work specifically for young people, families, schools, community. We do a lot of immersive learning projects. We do a lot of full-on productions for families and young people. And my role is I get to be the creative learning producer, which is a fantastic role. So I manage all of our schools projects and all the relationships with our education partners and cultural partners. And we do a lot of teacher training as part of our projects. So that's some of what I'll be talking about today.
Amazing. And I think the thing that struck me when I sort of first came across what you did was the breadth of it. Like, say, the things that you're able to do within your own premises, so to speak, but the fact that you were able to go into schools and just completely change a whole room in this whole catalogue of immersive projects and writing and a whole myriad of things that you're able to do sort of in a school-based environment, as well as, like, say, the sort of the training and stuff as well. So really excited to sort of hear exactly what you're doing now and what these projects are. So yeah, take us into your sort of, the current projects and what you'd like to chat about today.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, we do have this sort of suite of projects, and they really vary in scale, where we'll do a whole school takeover and build an entire set and have actors facilitating workshops with the young people. And then from sort of an entry level, we recently created a 1 day digital project, which the teacher delivers from the classroom. But all of the projects are adventures for the young people, and they have educational and curricular outcomes sort of wrapped up in a big exciting adventure and narrative. So the young people never know that it's a project. They aren't told that there's a theatre company involved. So generally we'll train up the teachers spend a whole day doing a CPD for a project, give them all the tools and props and resources, and then they go away and deliver the projects in school. And the children always have a mission. There's usually kind of a literacy or RSC outcome. And spoiler alert, they're always successful in their mission. So it's all about getting the young people's imaginations flowing. They're given so much agency in the projects because the teachers behave like they don't know what's happening. So they'll just be very surprised that this magical book has appeared and the characters have escaped into the school and things like that. And the feedback that we get from teachers is just incredible. They always talk about the engagement, just saying they've never seen their children so involved and so engaged. And because it doesn't feel like school, they just think I have to write a story to help this character, and they know that they're important. And there's always sort of evidence at the end that they've been successful. It's always marked with a little token or a prop or something or a message that has come back from that character. So it is just an adventure for both the teachers and the pupils.
Yeah, I think the way I always thought about it was that you can think about what you call a wow day at school, and then you times it by about 1,000, and the fact that it's not just a day; it can be however long the project lasts. And like you say, it's all about it being relevant. And of course, for young people in that particular moment, it's the most relevant thing, and that's kind of the beauty of it. That sense of we're doing this because this is our play. This is what we're excited about doing, and as it should be with education, all the skills that you learn to be able to use are for a reason. And if it happens to be something which completely grabs their attention, then you're learning without even trying, which has to be the like almost the ultimate goal.
Yeah, that's it. An absolute win. And apparently the children talk about this for years after. We've had so many teachers say to us they're still talking 2, 3 years later about the day that happened or those
Right.
characters. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a gorgeous thing to be a part of.
Yeah, fantastic. So tell us about this early years project that you've got coming up during the spring, and then we can make sure that everyone who's certainly got in that field has all the information and knows where to go and what it is, what it's going to be all about.
Yeah, so we are offering our early years project, the Wishing Cupboard, which is there's the cupboard itself. And it's for nursery or reception classes. And we are running a day of training in our immersive venue in Wembley on April 20th. So we're inviting practitioners from early years settings and teachers from primary schools to come out to us and spend a day just being immersed and learning how to deliver that project themselves. And what you just saw there was an actual wishing cupboard.
Amazing.
So when that sort of arrives, lands in the classroom, and basically this cupboard can make wishes come true. So the teachers are trained up in how to create little installations with objects, and the children will decide what the object's destiny might be. So it could be that there's a little stone, and maybe the stone wants to have a bubble bath. And the next day, the children come in, and the teacher has set up a little installation where the stone is having a bubble bath. So there's several different objects involved, and each object sort of has 3 wishes come true. And then, so you can run it, it's quite flexible. Teachers can run it kind of between 3 and 6 weeks. And for the children, it's seeing their imaginations come to life. It's great for RSC. There's so much discussion involved. And the feedback that we get is that a lot of young people with additional needs or English as an additional language really get involved and throw themselves in. The excitement levels are just through the roof. So the wishing cupboard itself, the teachers will hold on to that and they can deliver that with the next year's cohort and time
Right.
again. So when you get all of those props and things to keep. So the hub that we're offering begins with that training in April in Wembley, and then teachers will take away that cupboard and all the other props involved, and then deliver between April and June. And then we're inviting people to come back to us in June for another CPD, which is Become an Immersive Learning Teacher. And that empowers you to create your own immersive learning projects for your cohort. And it's just a lovely way to sort of launch teachers to be independently creating their own work. And it also comes with our immersive learning toolkit, which is 129 pages, absolutely crammed full of immersive learning projects and activities and ideas from past projects. So, yeah, we really want to empower teachers to create their own magic. And there's
Amazing.
our website.
Yeah,
Nicely done.
exactly. And
Thank you.
And I think that was one of my other takeaways from chatting about this before, is the fact that it's not just about we've now done it. It's not about it's this year's project. It's about, oh, I can just see the amazing thing that can happen here, and this can be an integral part of what I'm doing, how I can do it in the future. Like I say, because you've got the skills and the tools and all of those things from there. And I think that longevity and the fact that it changes, maybe the culture is not the right word, but certainly the way that you might want to go about what you're doing and how you go about it is sort of that long term. And I guess it then goes across school, and you're able to sort of share it within classes and year groups and the whole thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And we have a legacy session after delivery where we'll discuss with teachers how their delivery went and discuss kind of options to springboard into other areas of the curriculum or how they might deliver it slightly differently next time around. And the last time we did that, I remember one early years practitioner saying, "Oh, next time I do it, I'm going to introduce a numeracy slant to it," and she had ideas for how to do that. Another teacher they brought in a kind of performance element. So what's lovely about it is we do quite a lot of the sort of planning and the offer is there, but teachers and practitioners can just make it their own because they know their young people
Yeah.
and they are experts in their field. So I love hearing teachers talk about adapting it for their own settings.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. And one of the things we talked about recently on the podcast was that sense of it being related to where you are. So if you live in the north, your perspective of what you would like that wish to be might be different than if you lived in the south, like say a different country, or even how you communicate. So I think all that makes
Absolutely. Yeah. And
so much sense.
we've had interest from other countries around Europe and Ireland. So it's really open to anyone who can make it to London for those trainings, which is very exciting. We love working with people from all over. But
Brilliant.
yeah, coming out to our immersive venue in Wembley, which in itself is an adventure.
Absolutely. So the website's there. If they go onto the website, you can click through and find those projects and everything you need. And just remind everyone just before you go those key dates again to make sure that everyone can sort of fit it into their timescale in
Yes,
their mind
April.
anyway.
Thanks, Mark. April 20th is the first CPD. Then delivery would be in your own school or setting throughout April to June. It's quite flexible. And then you'll come back to us at the end of June. We haven't confirmed that date just yet, but end of June in Wembley.
Brilliant. And let me just share this picture again, because I think just looking at this just gets me excited about what's possible. Because I just think there's just so much there, and you just think, oh yeah, it just changes my whole perception, and certainly of the day, and exactly what we're able to do. So
Yeah, those are little
amazing.
wishes that are tied onto the tree, and
Yeah.
at the end of the project, you tie on your own wishes, and the cupboard goes off, and you get a letter back from the cupboard. Well, I won't give away too much,
No,
but
exactly. You want people to find out. Yeah.
yeah,
Amazing. Dorothy, thank you so much. I really appreciate you getting in touch and coming on and sharing all that. We're here every
thank
week, so
you.
let me know if there's more to share. Let me know how it goes. If anybody actually gets involved and wants to share their experiences of taking part, then please do that, because the whole point of all of this is that we kind of feel like everything that we're doing within education has that sense of excitement, but also that sense that we're all those things that we're able to do, which makes education feel like it's taking that next step forward, doing it for the right reasons for the children to have that excitement, but also real learning environments, I think is really key. So yeah, thank you so much indeed. I really appreciate you joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me on, Mark. Take care.
Amazing. So we can do that. If you'd like to come onto the show, share anything that you're doing, I really appreciate Dorothy doing that today. We're more than happy to do that. Just get in touch. As I said last week, you can just contact me, mark at educationonfire.com. You can usually find me in LinkedIn as well. Like I said, this is being streamed from LinkedIn too. So yeah, get in touch. Let me know how we can help, how we can kind of share what we're doing. And that'll be really, really exciting. And also, if you're just sharing stuff generally, but you'd like to kind of have that sense of in it together kind of thing, that was the whole point of using this hashtag education on fire, was because whether you're talking about early years or whether you're talking about secondary school, whether you're talking about sport or music or theatre, anything like that, I think just having this sense of all of this is the positivity and what is possible, rather than any of the negativity, and people that are struggling. Anything which is kind of, yes, we're actually trying to come together to make a positive difference and be able to share what that is, whether it's a small thing within your classroom, whether it's a large thing, whether you're a charity, a business that's really able to help someone, even if you're just sharing through your own social channels. If you'd like to, I'd really appreciate that. Use that hashtag, because then we can start to see how it's being used everywhere and how we can start to have this sort of more sort of global global conversation about it, as Ger said in the podcast. And yeah, speaking of Ger, let's have a little look about episode 2, which obviously happened on Monday. It was really, really exciting. The whole thing was about children can only aspire to what they know exists. And as if you listen to it, it really does make a lot of sense. And some of the most important areas of what we were able to do for that was really kind of bring it sort of full circle in some ways, to be able to kind of make sure that we understand what that actually means, because I think sometimes that can actually be hard. So let me just take you down to some of those key takeaways. And knowing what exists is obviously easy for us because we think we know what that is, but of course it's different if you haven't actually done it. And some of those sort of typical stereotypes that Ger was saying, certainly about career choices, for example, are set by the age of 4. And yet we obviously don't discuss them often until we're talking about careers in secondary school. And that was based on his work in Kidzania. Children going into Kidzania and actually, doing the activities which they thought were related to what was okay for them to do, whether it's male, female, whether it's age related, all of those sorts of things. And so to understand that what we're setting up from such an early age is important, I found absolutely fascinating. I think the hub of all of these episodes is going to be the partnership thing, getting schools, communities, businesses. It has to be a win-win for everyone. Everyone who has a buy-in is able to support, but everyone actually benefits. And we were talking about the idea of actually children going into old people's homes, those sorts of things, being able to use some of the rooms in those environments, being able to have people go into old people's homes and have sort of reading sessions and have sort of cross-generational conversations. It makes such a big difference. And it's just that kind of willingness and that wanting for everyone to do it. It needs, the outside organisation to be up for it. It needs the school to want to be able to do it. And sometimes if there's money related to these things, if it involves a bus ride or something like that, having some way of actually raising funds to make sure that any of those sort of small bus journeys, which do cost a lot of money, maybe that's the bit that can be covered. Whatever it happens to be, I'll be really interested and excited to sort of hear what it is that you do or what your experiences are with that. And also if it's difficult, did you find a way around it? Was there any way that you're able to do that? And one of the things, this number 4 here, sort of out of school experiences are not a luxury. They're essential for breaking cycles of disadvantage. And I think the thing that kind of always strikes me in this particular type of thing is it really just depends on what those circumstances are, because it might be that school is the safety net. School is the place where a child actually is almost at home because their home life doesn't give them those options. So therefore the school trips and the things that you do outside of the school gates are really important that the school provide. And hopefully there's a home life there and parents and family that are able to support children that they can do with them at the weekends. Ger was saying that his wife's school sort of give a list of things for the holidays or things that parents can do which are completely free, not about sitting down and doing homework and doing the sums in a maths piece of homework, but kind of, we're thinking about, we're going to be doing Shakespeare, let's go and read a play, see a play, let's find out some areas about this. Maybe we can go and visit Stratford if you happen to be near there. Whatever they happen to be, they become things that you can do rather than a chore, I think is kind of the key area. And you do it in a way which is going to be really, really engaging for people. And I think this sort of idea of 360 education in terms of everybody is involved. Actually parents being involved in supporting schools, but also that they're just as valuable as the teachers, but because they've got a different perspective. They have a way of actually coordinating what goes on at home into school and vice versa. We all have a part to play. We all have different roles. But I always think, with a child, it's sort of the hub of all those spokes and all those different things going on, actually making sure that everyone's part of that conversation and feeling like we're able to work together and do those things. I think is such a key way to be able to do that. So yeah, if you've actually listened to the episode, if you have anything you want to share, please do that. Let me know exactly what it is that you want to be able to let me know from those episodes. It really is something which I think is incredibly important. And also I can share here some of the different websites from Punch Drunk as well. Exactly, you can go straight there to the website, but also in terms of that particular project. so many different things to do. So I'll leave that on there because then you're able to share those and get hold of all that information as well. So yeah, so that's a really, really exciting thing. And again, thanks to Dorothy for being able to do that. If you have anything yourself that you'd like to share, as I said, just let me know. I can bring you up on the comments and do that. And I've got a couple of people that have been in touch that I want to just mention them as it comes as well. So I mentioned about being at Bett before, so let me just share you some of the pictures and some of the things that we did there for last week. So I wanted just to make sure, if you haven't been to Bett, you get sort of an idea of the sort of the vastness of it and some of the companies that are there. And this is a sort of a good example with Kahoot. And they just, big screens, big presentations, the chance to get involved, the chance to actually be on devices and play all the things and actually learn some of the things that maybe you haven't done yourself before, even if you've been using some of the tools that some of these organizations have. So yeah, let me just take you through there. So there's obviously Kahoot there. Canva as well. They had lots and lots of things that were going on there too. Satchel, I think it was Robin I was chatting to. We had Namish from Satchel, I think it was back in 2020, talking about sort of their early iteration of this company. It was so nice to sort of catch up and find out what they're doing now. It's obviously expanded. They're educators at the core of what they do, and the sense of just, are the things that we're producing helping teachers? Is it going to save time? Is it going to help? Is it going to make a difference in a positive way? And I think whenever I speak to anybody who's involved in education that does that, and especially being involved in it as an educator themselves as well, and they're talking to educators all the time, is it doing that? Do I need to press 3 buttons when I can only press 1? Is it intuitive? Am I actually going to sort of save time as well as actually produce great content in terms of knowing what's going on with all those things? Is really, really key. So great to catch up with them, and I think we may well organise a conversation with Satchel as well in the coming weeks to sort of share more and more about what they've done in since the last time that we had a chat. So Google, as you can imagine, were there, obviously a very large organisation. BBC Bite Size were there. I've actually recorded a podcast with BBC Bite Size, which will go out after the Ger Graus season finishes. So do look out for that. And there's sort of a little bit of behind the scenes about what they're doing and how those things have been working. I thought I'd put this one here. I said hello briefly to Al Kingsley. His presentation was fantastic, and what I always love about what he does is, one, it's always fun. As you can see there, he's there virtually with his 2 dogs. But that sense of understanding about everything that you do, I think this was specifically about sort of AI and obviously technology being in the Bett event. But how it affects everybody. Is it useful? Is it something we need to do? Is it something we need to put as part of our plan? How does it work across all members of staff, all departments, all areas of our school? And I just always love that because it always seems to make so much sense. And those are the things which I really love about how those conversations come together. Makes such a big difference, I think, because it happens in real time. And of course, Al has so much experience in all of those things, so he's going to come on and have a chat with us in the next coming weeks as well. So just wanted to mention Westchester because the main reason that I went to Bett was actually to be able to get in touch and see Ger in person. We've obviously spent a lot of time recording the podcast, but Ger was there actually speaking, so I wanted to go and say hello to him. Fantastic conversation around the curriculum review, and obviously makes so much sense, fits in so brilliantly with obviously our Ger Graus Gets Gritty season that we were doing. And this is Ed, as we mentioned, Ed from Empathy Week. Always great to catch up with him. He's so passionate. He's always iterating what it is that they do. They have some fantastic projects and things that they've got coming up in the spring. So really do check those out. I'm going to make sure I'm going to show you those details in a minute, so you'll be able to scan a QR code and actually get involved as well. And great for the 3 of us to be able to catch up. A lot of interesting conversations in the few minutes that we spent together. And like all these things, when you get lots of passionate people, it just immediately just comes like, yes, of course that's going to happen. It makes perfect sense. And I will just say in that particular moment that the thing I think that really made a big difference to me, we were talking about the whole kind of virtual thing. We were talking about hybrid education, out of school, the lack of in person. And I think the one thing that Ger mentioned, which I really loved, was the fact that there's something that can't happen if everything is completely virtual. And that's if a child needs, an arm around their shoulder, they need someone to just give that kind of kindness and care, which is a very kind of intimate thing, which you would have obviously in a school in terms of that sort of face-to-face thing that happens. And so I think my biggest takeaway just in those few minutes that we were chatting was just that sense of, we can make education work in so many different ways, whether it's online, whether it's in person, but the completely virtual thing, I think, has a few things which needs to be thought through. And sometimes it's the best way because it's the only way that's possible, but kind of the baby in the bathwater of kind of one or the other, maybe that's not quite as straightforward as some people think. So anyway, that was my takeaway when we were having those conversations when we were there during last week. So I mentioned Empathy Week. So this is something that Ed gave me. So I wanted to just make sure that you had the opportunity to see this. You can scan that QR code. I did try it before. It seemed to work fine, went straight to their website, but obviously all the details are there, as you can see. 9th to the 13th of March. What they do is absolutely amazing. All the details are there. I'll let you look at that and find out more and go in. If you haven't come across it before, it's really, really worth checking it out. It's completely free, and the work that he's doing is incredible. So anything I can ever do to share what he's doing and support that is something I absolutely love to do all the time. So one of the other great things about being in an event like that, as I said, speak to lots of people virtually, but also you get to speak to people that you haven't seen before in real life there. And I met Ben. He's been on 2 or 3 episodes, but I think the last one was episode 464. And actually, I was looking for Tapestry. I was going to try and say hello, and I couldn't find it amongst all the myriad of stalls and things. And he actually saw me and came running out and said hi, which was so lovely. And I just chance just to catch up, like I said, say hi in person. So I thought those people that I'd seen, those people that are sort of so passionate about what we do and love to share what we do, I thought if I just sort of let you know what some of the past episodes are, you can go away and you can actually find and listen to them with a bit more detail. I think Ed has been on, I think he did a live show with me once before as well, but this was the first time he was on when Empathy Week was just sort of getting going. So that was back in episode 125. And of course now we're 470 something. So yeah, that was a little while ago. Al, I mentioned before. That's a fantastic episode there, 350. And like I said, he was keen to come on and talk about his latest book and talking about the hard questions and the questions that we need to be thinking about and how that all fits in, certainly from a technology point of view. I think will be something to really be brilliant and sort of revisit. So do check that out as well. And as I said, I mentioned to Satchel, again, episode 161. So yeah, we're back in sort of 2020, that kind of time. So yeah, I'll just leave that there for a second. You can take a note of what those episodes are if you want to just scroll through. And remember, you can listen to the podcast on any of your favorite platforms, whether it's Apple, whether it's Spotify. You can always do that. And I think some of those earlier episodes from an audio point of view are also on the YouTube channel as well. So do make sure that you go and check that out. And if you want to know more about Bett itself, I did a much more extended version of sort of behind the scenes at Bett last year. So that actually is available on the YouTube channel of Education on Fire as well. So if you go to educationonfire.com/YouTube, you'll be able to find that. And that sort of takes you probably behind the scenes, my thoughts on Bett more generally, and some of the interviews I did last year. So yeah, fantastic. Let me know. As I mentioned, if you're watching, if you want to leave a comment, please do. I can bring that up. We can have a conversation back and forth as well. But the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of conversations and bits of information I had. And the first one, while I was at Bett, was my conversation again with Jamf.
My name is Suraj Mohandas. I lead education strategy globally and go-to-market as well. And Jamf is proud to support more than 42 million learners globally. We work with several thousands of universities, ministries of education, and Jamf is uniquely placed to kind of bring together key elements that make technology, especially Apple technology, work amazingly well in schools. We manage devices, secure devices. We manage identities as well, and then the classroom experience. And there's no one else in the ecosystem that really brings those elements together. But what gets me out of bed every day and what gets me excited is the fact that we get to really focus on the teaching and learning impact that the students and teachers have in the classroom. And that's really what Jamf is all about, is purposeful learning happening on the device of their choice. It's good to meet you again, Mark. Every year, it's one of those things that I look forward to now. One of the key elements that we're talking about here at Jamf this year is how we are much more than MDM, and that's just not a product pitch. It's really talking about the fact that you're not just talking to the IT person in the school anymore. You never did, you never were, but we're making it more intentional, where it's really about bridging not just the IT side of it and the curriculum and teaching side of it, but then extending it out to the parent as well to bring the entire ecosystem in. So really one of those key elements that we're punching home this year. One of the other things that we're trying to figure out is how can we talk about the difference between intentional, purposeful deployment of technology versus maybe treating technology as a villain. I always say, I don't think the technology is a villain. Poor communication is. And if you don't explain why the devices are being handed out, and you don't bring the parents in, they're not left prepared for a 400, 500 pound device coming home and feeling empowered to manage it at home. So they see it as a very expensive portal that gives them access to the internet, and that strikes fear into them more so than feeling empowered. Intentional use of technology, and I always say technology is just not about getting devices into schools. It's really about designing it for teaching and learning. And if you look at it through that lens, you really start working from what is the purpose of the device, what is it intended to do, and then you work back to how the technology needs to be set up. Yes, social media in schools, you don't want kids scrolling through TikTok or Instagram, but really, if you're taking you're really throwing the baby out with the bathwater, as they say. You really need to say, okay, you are in a math class or maths class. I got to make sure I say it the right way. If you're in maths class, the teacher is empowered to set the device up in a way that helps them focus on only the apps that are needed for that classroom. It's focused learning. It's taking the distraction away. If you're looking at an iPad, it could have up to 200 devices. Do you really want the kid to be sifting through 200 apps on a device while teaching and learning needs to happen? And all of this puts teaching and learning time back into the classroom. The additional piece is these are devices that are powerful devices that drive equity in learning. So technology has really enabled differently abled learners, learners that have very diverse needs to really thrive in the learning environment. So when you take those devices away, you're also taking access away. You're also taking away the ability for them to participate in classrooms. You know, my son, he's dyslexic and he has ADHD. One of the key elements of him getting access to technology is because he's able to express his thoughts much more easily on a dictated fashion versus written fashion. So it doesn't make sense for us to remove devices away, but it makes sense for us to put the right restrictions in place so that focused learning happens. First of all, people need to create budgets for it, and we need to give them the tools to actually create and vouch for the budget. And one of those key things is, and maybe I'll zoom out a little bit and say, what you learn in K-12, the behaviors and the habits you learn in K-12 or in primary school, secondary school, when you go into college, you carry those over. So in primary school, we talk about imposing restrictions. Those restrictions are going to disappear when you go into college, and it's about digital learning experiences and how you have a healthy relationship with technology that transcends. That applies to the testing mechanism as well. And one of the ways that we've talked about a lot of schools kind of maximizing that impact while giving access to devices is it doesn't have to be a one-to-one device deployment all the time. It could absolutely be a shared device setup. And when you create shared devices and you say, okay, it's not one-to-one, it's 1-to-3 or 1-to-5, we are able to use our technology to set it up as a shared device where shared doesn't mean a plain vanilla experience for everyone. Shared device means when you log in with your profile, your unique settings come up and you still have a personalized. Now, testing is a completely different setup where you can actually set up multiple devices. And I think it takes some creative scheduling to make sure people get access to it. And also prioritizing folks that truly need, some people may be actually more comfortable with written form, and some may be more comfortable with the digital interaction. Really understanding the student, which teachers amazingly do, and schools amazingly do. I think you can create a not so one size fits all, but a truly customized experience for them. We've been thinking about it a lot, and we started with purposeful deployment as our key message last year. We've built on that. We've talked about how we get seamless learning access to make sure a particular learner or teacher gets access to the right resources when they need it on the device of their choice. And we've also talked about creating a secure learning environment. So it really comes down to bringing the right stakeholders around the table, understanding what those needs are, including students. I mean, if you're saying we're going to put restrictions on, I don't know how it is at home for you, but for me, it's easier if I explain it to my daughter why those restrictions are and why she doesn't have access to social media before she's of a certain age. That transcends and translates into something that is buy-in from them versus the restrictions are on, like it or not, we're not going to talk about it. So that's the real message: is get a cross-functional team around the table, design it with the teaching and learning outcomes in mind, and you are going to be successful.
So yeah, I hope that was helpful. Hope that was interesting. If you've got any thoughts about it, let me know. Put it in the comments, and we can have a chat about that. I think the buy-in from lots of different stakeholders is obviously incredibly important, and I think people often think, oh, if you have a lot of devices, the cost is going to be prohibitive. But one of the things I know I've chatted with Al Kingsley about before is the sense of what is it that you want to do and why do you want to do it? And then put a plan in place to actually make that happen. You know, we want it to look like this. We can't do it today, but maybe next term, maybe next year, maybe we'll fundraise in this particular way. But also with that sense of, it's not just about doing it for this job lot of computers. It's about having it as a policy. It's about understanding how it fits across all learning, and also what it's going to look like going forward. And obviously AI is a big part of all of that. So really important that those things actually are taken into consideration and not just dismissed, but actually how that's going to work, because obviously the benefits can be really, really key. So next I want to bring you my conversation with Dell Technologies, and what I loved about this was not only did we talk about how that was sort of working within school, which you'll hear from Brian there, but also about how they've got programs and things that they're doing to support children to get into technology generally, but also to actually support them in their sort of working and learning life as well.
Thank you so much for having me, Mark. My name is Dr. Nakia Tharps-Becerra, and I'm the Global Skilling Education Strategist for Dell Technologies. And so we at Dell believe in the power of education, and we're really focusing on the classroom to career. And so we've created programs that are designed to benefit students around digital inclusion for girls in our Girls Who Game program, as well as hands-on authentic learning for students through our Student Tech Career program. We are a technology company. We have great technology. But in my side of the house, we got to develop a complementary curriculum. And so we can provide these educational experiences for students that allow them to gain real-world skills. We know that in the future, kiddos don't just need those technical skills, but they're also going to need the soft skills. And so through our Girls Who Game program, you can learn skills such as leadership, collaboration, communication, and ultimately we want to build the confidence of students in the classroom. Through our Student Tech Crew program, I would say that we really focus on authentic and real-world experiences. The students get hands-on experience for repairing Dell technology devices. And so they can take those certifications and go straight from high school to career. And we believe that's important to set kids up for their future. So we have a partnership with Discovery Education, and we have some of our content available open source, complimentary for any educator that wants to use it. So it has those soft skill components of our Student Tech Crew curriculum, where students are going to learn how to communicate who they are in terms of what's my elevator pitch and how can I use that to benefit myself in the future. Or I'm going to learn those soft skills. My favorite one is critical thinking. We know that students are going to have to navigate determining what's real and what's fake in the world of AI. And so we need to develop critical thinkers for our future. So you can go to our Student Tech Career Circuit in partnership with Discovery Education to access our open source content. One of the things that makes me think about in terms of how we're using technology is, as an educator and a mother of young children, it's important to have a purposeful reason to use the technology. And so I believe that our programs are providing purposeful experiences and not just a tool that can be used as a babysitter. And so with the educator supporting students and the students interacting with the content, I think it's a win-win for everyone in the education space. So our Girls Who Game program, you can express interest online at dell.com/GWG.
Sure, my name is Brian Horsburgh. I look after our UK education business here, particularly for schools. I've been lucky enough to work within the education sector for just over a decade now within Dell Technologies. And being at Bett gives us a really kind of strong opportunity to meet a lot of old friends and colleagues and a lot of our customers. So it's always fantastic to be here. The reality is we're doing what we've always done over the last 20 years, which is really kind of understand where the pain points are. What type of issues are they facing? And we know that the issues that most schools are facing are not really improving, but kind of getting worse. Budgets are a main problem. We've been hearing over the last couple of days, energy pricings are going up. Teacher attrition is just as high as it has been. We know that technology is a decision that has to be made, and how people kind of weigh up sustainability options over kind of newer, fresher technology. And really what we're trying to do is just make sure that we kind of help support customers make those right decisions, that they've got the information at their hands of what's new, what's coming down the line from an energy efficiency perspective. And now we've got the added discussion of, are the future ready for AI at the edge and the applications that maybe they're not using at the moment, but in the next 2 to 3 years, they could be. So we wanted people to be working to make the decisions that might help them in the future. What's really interesting at being Bett this year, we've got 3 things I would probably say kind of hit the nail on the head on what you just spoke. Number one, we're trying to bring out technology that's fit for purpose, that's robust, can work in those environments. And with the launch of our Dell Education Pro devices, we're making real investment to ensure that we hone in on exactly what the education market needs. The second thing that we're really kind of thinking about now as well is, how do we help customers, help them make the decisions for the long term? So we've come up with an Ed 360 workshop where we can come on site to the school, work with the SLTs, really understand where they are at this moment in time, where do they want to go to, what's the key priorities, what challenges are they facing, and then we'll work with them on that timescale, really thinking it, again, use the word hone in, but really kind of hone in on where those impacts can be. If I use internally from a Dell perspective, when we're thinking about AI, it's got to have a return of investment on there. Now, from a school's perspective, that return of investment can be as simple as reducing the energy efficiency. It could be improving the kids' welfare in terms of the student welfare, or it could be just improving the work-life balance of the teachers, lesson planning and so on and so forth. But the key part of that is making the decisions that, and again, we will use Dell as an example. When AI first came out, everyone's a magpie. You see new shiny software solutions and AI solutions, and we just go straight through them. But that comes at a cost. We want to review exactly what applications have they got, whether it's Microsoft or Google, and utilise what they've actually got in the first instance to try and make some strength in there. But then along that side, how do you train the teachers to enable them to actually use those applications in the best way they possibly can? So new devices, Edge 360 workshop. And then the last piece, which is really important, is the budgetary piece. And if you look at the education market already, from a data center perspective, most customers have already moved from CapEx purchasing over to OpEx. We don't see why that should be any real difference when it comes to the laptops and the PCs. So what we've launched is Apex PC as a service for education. And ideally what we're looking to do is let us take care of the deployment, let's take care of the management, let's take care of the support, and allow schools to focus on education outcomes. And in return, what we will be able to offer is a predictable monthly payment that they know exactly where their investment is going. And they're getting the latest technology that works and gives the best experience for their students and the teachers.
So there you are. I hope that was some insightful. The thing I always love about having these conversations is it gives you kind of a voice, an audio idea, and a picture of the people that are involved. When you sort of go around these events, you know, you've got lots of large companies, you've got lots of kind of large stands, and it all looks very kind of clinical in so many ways. And then it's actually the speaking to people, and it was great to be able to obviously speak to all of those people and actually get that kind of the human side of it, and the fact that, you know, we're trying to do this to support children, why we're trying to support children, how that's going to help you. So yeah, if you've got any thoughts while we're just wrapping up in the last couple of minutes, do put them in the comments. I'm more than happy to bring those up as well. And so yeah, thank you to both Jamf and Del for getting in touch and asking me to go along and sort of share what it is that they've been going up to. So a reminder of the hashtag for anything that you do on social really does help just kind of sort of bring that sort of focus together, and want to make sure that we kind of keep in touch with all of those things. And then one final shout out, I want to do a couple of people. I had a great conversation with Simon Hunt, Mr. Hunt from the front. He does some amazing things. If you haven't come across his Facebook page, I'm sure there's someone that you know that has. Do check out the amazing videos and the amazing content he does there, and his website's got lots of CPD, and I know he's currently going around doing free author visits. He's got a couple of books that he's authored, and he's obviously still teaching his class as well. So do go and check that out. We had a great conversation. He really helped me with some thoughts and some possible projects and things that I want to start to put into place going forward. So really appreciate his time. It was great to sort of catch up for an hour or so with him, and sort of chew the cud, so to speak, about education generally, but like I say, some of those things as well. And also I want to do a shout out on, there's a YouTube channel, and it's Learn with Quasi. I hope that's how I've pronounced that correctly. Mohammed, he got in touch with me, said he's started to create these videos. He's got some other online things as well. So do check that out. I'll make sure that I post this in some of my social media as well, so that you can actually do it. But the YouTube channel is Learn with Quasi. That's Learn with and then QAZI. So thank you so much indeed for watching. If there's anything you'd like to say, do let me know. More than happy to share. I'm just going to make sure that we can share again our comments here, because I want to be able to make sure you've got the Punch Drunk Enrichment websites to hand if you didn't see them before. So here's the first one. So normal website /projects / the wishing cupboard. Really loved what that was. Let me just show that picture again, because it really does sort of open up that whole kind of world of wonder, wonders rather than wonders, wonder, and it is so exciting. And this final one, punchdrunkenrichment.org.uk /events / early-years-immersive-hub. Anyway, you can see it there. You can take it for whatever it is that you need. Yeah, so thank you very much indeed. Appreciate you coming and spending time with me. Let me know in whichever way you want to get in touch in terms of how the Ger Graus Gets Gritty season is going on. Really would like to know your thoughts, like to get that conversation going. It's been fantastic for me. We're planning the last 3 episodes very soon in terms of it being early years, schooling and further higher education, so we can round off those whole conversations about the whole sort of timescale related to education. So more about those details when they come soon. So I'll be back next Wednesday with more live and more interaction. Look forward to chatting with a few of you in the meantime again, and for now I will say goodbye and see you again next week. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire.